he probably should have went to college.
Sebastian?
Yes.
Let's just hindsight 2020.
We say this now with results already in.
No.
What did your cousin tell you? What did your cousin tell you? What did your cousin tell you?
You didn't know that? All right, look, just straight up. I didn't think watching Sebastian play. I thought he was one of the best point guards ever in New York. But even I knew, I was like.
The problem was this. When you see Omar Cook get drafted how he got drafted, when you see Eric Barkley get drafted the way he got drafted,
but then they
when
got
you see
washed.
Ed Cody don't get drafted, and these are all top tier. When you see,
New York guys,
right,
But even Omar, all right, so let's bring up Omar. I knew Omar wasn't ready. Omar was a great player in Christ the King. When he played Jay Williams, when it was St. John's versus Duke.
remember that game.
In the Garden.
I remember that game.
I think Jay Will gave him 30-something.
I remember that game.
Easy.
Right.
And that's why I was, okay, so if you're
Jay
letting.
Will was different.
Jay Will, no, don't get me. Jay Will was different. But at the end of, okay, what you think the NBA is, though?
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, so if Jay Will is doing that to you,
Right.
you think you ready for.
Right.
Who was that? Who was the point guards? Nash? You ready? You ready to do that to Kid?
No, he's not.
Jason Williams?
No. He wasn't ready to do the Tony Parker.
Tony Parker? He was ready to do that?
Yeah, you're right.
No.
I love Omar. I seen him play
When he
personally.
went to no, it's a system. It's a system. When you roll that dice and they say we're gonna draft you, like, what are you drafting me for? To be a practice guy or to just like what is my impact?
He went lottery.
Like Tim Duncan is a perfect example. Tim Duncan did all 4 years in college.
Right.
I think he benefited from all 4 years of being in college.
Right.
If Tim Duncan leaves freshman year and goes to the NBA, he's probably not the same player.
Tim was raw. They took him because he could listen.
But that's what I
he
mean.
could play the game.
A lot of see what are we deciphering from raw in comparison to prepared? Because it could still be considered that Sebastian Telfair was still raw leaving Lincoln. Let's just call it what it is.
It could be the hype around it. So the hype can speed up that process.
but you're still
and he was
raw.
in public school. He was in the PSAL. So he did that here in the public school in New York. So I get it.
You see what I'm saying?
Like, yo, you're dominating.
But I think
public, so I
think what happened was when he went to that ABCD camp,
when he's wilding.
off the strength of his cousin, mind you, if you're playing against your cousin, you're gonna by the time you play around your peers, you're far ahead
Right,
of them.
100%, yeah.
Everybody say,
He
yo,
was in the 8th grade then when he did that.
8th grade,
Right.
14 years old. Math ain't mathing.
Right.
But they let him rock out. He killed everybody.
Right.
It's only right if your cousin is out, you watching your cousin, because you're playing against grown men in an essence, you know, per se. It's gonna make sense.
Right.
You're gonna see the game a little different, but eventually everybody's gonna catch up.
Some people plateau. Some people plateau.
He plateaued because he didn't grow anymore.
Yeah.
But so he felt like he was overlooked as a player when he was in the NBA.
No way he was overlooked.
No, so in
he
the
came
NBA,
in with LeBron, right?
he had the hype. Getting drafted from high school.
Right.
You know, he actually came a year after LeBron. Or a year or two after.
No, I remember,
So,
a couple years. He had Sports Illustrated too.
Yeah, so he
Right,
did
they
all
both
that
did,
maybe
yeah.
2 years after, but they were doing that stuff. But
They should have come
man, I
together,
think it was a
right?
year after.
No.
He came a year
I don't
after.
know, yeah.
They did a slam. But he came a year after. But again, he was that guy.
And he had the documentary.
Documentary
and all
through
that.
the fire. That shit was fire.
But you gotta understand, every time ESPN is gonna send a crew out and we're
That's what
gonna
I'm saying.
document.
And you got to remember, that was around the time when they had remember that show on ESPN, The Life?
right.
And it was following cats around.
Yeah.
Listen, point
He
blank.
was saying he was the first NIL. Like he
No.
was the first guy to really like
At
kind
the end of the day, bro, if you're
Chris Webber
a
could say he
great
the first
player,
one.
you're not gonna get overlooked, bro. Let's
Yeah.
just
Right.
what name a player that was you could
I don't
that
think
you
he
should
got
like, damn.
overlooked. I think he got overworked.
Name a player.
Like he got outworked. I'm sorry, by like
Outworked.
other people who was there. Who
I mean, they
wasn't
shipped
Name a
considered-
player that was so great.
You think he was gonna wait? I think when he got drafted, Stoudemire was still on the trail.
Yeah, right.
You think he was gonna cook Stoudemire?
Damon Stoudemire?
Yeah.
No.
You think he was gonna cook Stoudemire?
No.
You think Stoudemire was gonna let him cook him?
Who won Rookie of the
I
Year
can't remember what
from
happened
Toronto? Come on, man.
I can't remember what happened when he was in Portland. It's like a blur.
Yeah,
It was
because
great.
that was
Yeah,
it.
That was it. It was
Grand opening, grand closing. You're not cooking.
which by the way, like
it's not a bad
like
thing.
it's not a bad thing. Like we would
you're-
all sign up for that.
Right.
Like just to be able to.
But
get
you're
on
not
the
cooking.
NBA
You're
court.
not cooking Stoudemire. You
But-
don't see the game like how I see it. You don't see the
Even
screens,
like as
the
even
reads.
playing the game now, even as a 30-year-old, the way you see the game now, think
it's
about it.
different.
If you had your mind now
yeah.
and you had your ability at 19, even you'd be like,
different
oh, no,
story.
it'd be
Yeah,
It's
different.
a different story.
It'd be so different.
You
These are
work-
grown men. They
Right.
got mortgages.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Who told the story about John Stockton? John Stockton was a pro. He was a professional point guard.
Yeah.
He wasn't crossing over. He wasn't doing all that shit. He knew how to play the game.
And you couldn't get the ball from him.
You couldn't do it.
Yeah.
You couldn't do it at all.
They got respect for him. Like at some point, it's like, you know what, dog, you got it. Like